This is a waste of time.
Is it? No kidding. Thanks for sharing.
I'm just saying, freaking stakeouts, what a joke. Like Twistelli's gonna hack a guy right in front of our car. I hate this crap.
Hey, you know what might make it better? If you complain some more. Time flies when you bitch and moan.
I forgot you were so sensitive.
I'm just saying.
Fine, I'll just sit here and do the podcast. Is that okay?
Don't strain yourself.
What's happening, Hellspawn? Welcome back to another episode of Spawnography. I'm one of your hosts, George Marson, pronouns they, them, or she, her. With me, as always, is...
Pierce Line, pronouns they, them. How you doing, George?
been a weird week for me, actually.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I had a bit of a personal setback in the sense that my old laptop died. When I tried to restore it, everything was restored except for my Procreate files. So, like, my entire artistic oeuvre of the last 5 years is currently in limbo. So, hopefully I'll be able to recover it, but that was a pretty big blow because I had a lot of stuff in there. Anyway, gotta detach yourself from your own creations, I guess, in some level.
You know, for me, anytime I've like lost stuff, whether it was writing, like either scripts or just like stuff that I wanted to keep that I was like, oh fuck, I thought I put that in Google Drive or I had it in an email somewhere and I guess it's gone forever. Yeah. A kind of nice thing about that, and that's happened to me with lyrics like 1,000 times because I like switched phones or whatever and I had it in the notes, is it forces you to reinvent yourself a little bit. It's not fun. I'm not saying it's fun and I'm not saying it's good, but it does kind of, you get to sort of be like, was I doing that because, or was I like holding on to that thing because I had it, or I thought I had it, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I think all artists have had those experiences, where it's like, oh, brother, I got to start over again. But sometimes that can be, like you said, a moment for growth. Sometimes it's frustrating, but it's also just a fact of creativity.
Yeah. And also a fact of our current technological hellscape where you don't actually have anything forever, always, ever, never.
I mean, my stuff was supposed to be backed up to the cloud, and it just didn't do that one.
See, but that's the problem. It rains. Clouds go away.
It pours. Cats and dogs, JPEGs and PDFs.
But listen,
what if I said that out loud to someone in life? It's raining JPEGs and PDFs out here. You think they'd hit me?
They might think that you're like giving them some QAnon code or something.
Oh God, you never know anymore with these people.
That's what I'm saying.
It could be QAnon, it could be S-anon, it could be Elanon at this point.
Ellen has an anon?
You don't even want to know, dog.
Oh boy. It probably involves dancing.
Around a statue of something really weird, but I won't say what it is.
That's fine.
It's a dog with a human face.
Oh. Lockjaw?
Yeah, actually, they're Inhumans. It takes place in the hidden city of Adelan, and I will get in there one day with my camera, and I will prove what I'm saying beyond the shadow of a doubt.
You know what's so funny?
Our podcast just got stuck into a strange category.
What's funny is that because Spotify's AI or whatever does transcribe our whole podcast, so it definitely reads it. The words that we speak go into the algorithm somehow, which,
you know what, I'm gonna say this, and the thing that's gonna be on Spotify, we gotta figure out somehow to get off Spotify. I mean, we're not making any money off of it.
No, I know,
but they're pretty bad. It's all pretty bad.
We you know what? Yes.
I'm not trying to give purity tests on it because that's almost impossible at this point. But at some point,
if the only good thing we could do is, and actually it's not even the best thing that we can do, because you know what? You and I have made mistakes, but is host our podcast on our own server.
Great. Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, so, we are a little beholden to the platforms that be. For now, maybe listen, if anybody's got any ideas, let us know. It's not like we do numbers on Spotify that I need to be there.
No, I mean, listeners, chime in and let us know if you'd follow us to YouTube or other
Which we're on.
podcatching platforms. We are on YouTube. We
And
are
we're
on
on,
YouTube. We're on
and we're on
Apple
Apple Podcasts.
Podcasts.
So
So there are ways to listen. We're not making any announcements, but I
no,
think
no,
it's
no, no.
important to consider while we're talking about Spotify's AI. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Agreed.
but yeah, how's your week been, Pierce?
It's been fine. I'm 2 weeks out from Chicago Marathon. I feel like half of our episodes are me being like, I have another race in a week or whatever.
How are you
That's like
gonna
the
feel
intro.
running through a literal war zone?
Oh God, I can't wait. Got my fatigues already.
Great.
Um, I'm excited for that race. I think it'll be fun. I don't have like a goal like I had for Berlin last year, where I just like, yeah, my goal was sub 3 last time, and now I'm like, I've already done it, so I'm like, sub 255 doesn't have the same ring to it.
Right.
I
Sub
was
255 was a great third wave ska band.
absolutely. But yeah, I just I'm looking forward to the trip and some time off of work because we're going a little early and leaving a day after. So plus like the
Yeah.
flight to Chicago is kind of easy and nice, and um, yeah, that's kind of all that I've been up to. Um,
The only thing I can say is skip the deep dish and have the hot dog.
I hate deep dish, and I'll go
Yeah,
hot
you're
dogs all the way.
correct.
I'll have an Italian beef.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So,
That pizza is lasagna, though.
ugh, no, thank you, listeners. I'm a pizza purist.
Pierce and I are in the same boat on this. My one religion is that pizza is flat.
Yeah, New York slice or
I'm a
die.
flat pizza-er.
which was for a while it did coincide with your feelings about the shape of the earth, but we got through that
Well, I see what I
because
didn't
but
get,
that was because
Pierce.
your world was pizza.
True, and in my defense, when the moon hit my eye, it looked like a big pizza pie. And
But it wasn't.
so, no, it wasn't.
Yeah,
That
we
was
figured
just
that
an
out.
optical illusion.
It was
And
actually
what
that
was
was a moray.
happening, it was crazy enough. And what was happening is I had only seen photos of the Earth from space. So
Mm,
I thought it was a circle like on its side. But someone explained to me that no, that's a picture. And those sometimes are two dimensional, like in a comic. So
correct.
I
Yeah.
get it now. It's circle Earth. It's big circle Earth.
Big circle earth. Correct.
Big circle
Correct.
Earth.
Some would say sphere, but I know you're not ready for that conversation yet.
I'm not afraid of it.
Oh goodness. Oh boy. Well, yeah, as you can tell, everybody, we're having a funny day. We laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah,
Honestly,
it's been
it's been
another weird week. A lot of bad stuff's happening.
yeah.
Um,
There's bad stuff happening right now,
yeah.
but Bad
So,
Bunny got announced as the Super Bowl halftime show, so that's important.
wow, they're going to
From
arrest Bad Bunny in the middle of the Super Bowl.
It could have been Taylor Swift, who. It's funny that the
Didn't she do it
rumor.
last year?
No, that was Kendrick Lamar, and
Oh, that's right. I'm so sorry to have
people
forgotten
were.
that.
Oh no,
She
she
was
just
just at there because her boyfriend man was
yes,
there.
she's co-starring in the NFL.
That's right. She's a
But what's
supporting character in the
yeah, pretty
NFL.
much every other broadcast would be like, and Taylor Swift's here today, and like it would cut to Taylor Swift like 17 times during, like, what did she think of that play or whatever? And it's like, I don't think she knows what a touchdown is, and she's
It
admitted as
was
much on a podcast.
it was pretty
Taylor, come on the
crazy.
podcast, come on the Spawnography podcast to announce your next album.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
Spawnography Taylor's version.
but it
It
is
was
funny.
also pretty crazy when Kendrick Lamar fucking murdered Drake on live TV.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
R.I.P.
No peace for him.
Oh, sorry, I meant piss.
Fair. Well, the rumor is that Taylor Swift was supposed to do it, but her people were like, "Cool, and we're going to own the footage." And so, like, two forces,
Oh,
the two powers of capitalism in United States came head to head. Taylor Swift, the Taylor Swift Corporation, and the NFL, the two biggest things that are not the government
yeah,
yet.
basically. Yeah, they're
Uh,
going to nationalize football.
um,
It's going to be the National Socialist Football
but they
League.
were like, no, we're not letting you have the footage. We own that. And she's like, cool, I won't do it then. And so it's just an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know
Ugh,
who won? Us.
that's
Because
yeah, we sure did. I mean, we did get the Kendrick Lamar performance,
true,
which
and we do get
all
Bad Bunny,
timer.
which
Hey, again, love to
people are
see it.
upset about. So I love that because he's going to do the whole thing in Spanish.
Hell yeah, he is. It's gonna be
So
awesome, and it's gonna be a national fucking nightmare. They're gonna be talking about what he wrote on bullet shells in the locker room.
oh, I mean, oh boy. There's definitely going to be a lot of like discourse about how he should go back to his country of Mexico, and he's not Mexican.
He's,
So
I believe he's Puerto
he's
Rican,
Puerto Rican.
which
Yeah.
means
So,
he's American
right.
in a
So,
very colonized way.
in really fucked up way.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. So,
welcome back to colonizersography. I don't know,
oh,
footballography,
jeez, that's a little too close to home. Oh
half
my,
halftimeography. What if we just change we pivot the podcast where we only review halftime shows? That could be a podcast. Kind of surprising that it's not.
the halftime show. That actually sounds like some Manosphere podcast. What I just said.
We slow it down. We slow it down.
Ah,
It's the halftime show.
okay, maybe so. Yeah,
There's just like a halftime beat behind
maybe
it.
so. just like a dun 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 dun. Dun. Uh,
Uh,
Speaking of football, I'm going to talk about another podcast real quick. Last podcast on the left did a recent series about Aaron Hernandez, where they got very deep into research and statistics about CTE and how it affects people, and the research behind incredibly thorough. And excuse me, they talked a lot about one of the statistics they said was that if just 10% of moms in America, supposedly this is what the NFL says, if just 10% of moms in America stop supporting football, the entire industry would collapse. Which I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds right.
10% of moms?
Yep, if they just decided they wouldn't let their kids play anymore because it was too
Oh, I see, I
dangerous.
see, I see. Yeah, I mean, listen, the CTE thing is crazy, and I don't know if you've seen the Guardian caps.
They talk about that and
Yeah,
how people don't want to wear them because they
because
look.
they look goofy. But there was one player recently who's like, "Oh, if we're allowed to wear them, I'm going to wear them all the time." He's like, I
Yeah.
heard. He's like, basically somebody told him like what they do, and he was like, "Oh." I think also too we have a lot more. Partly because of social media, but we have a lot more instances where people understand exactly what CTE is in the sense that, again, you're not really a football fan like this, but and you know that
It
I'm a
The
sports
hat does
gay.
look like Mario ate a grenade. Like and became looks like Commando Mario. But I mean, it looks very futuristic. So
It
maybe they
kind
can
of
put some
does.
LED lights on it or something. That'd be pretty
That's
cool.
the thing. Once somebody starts like tricking out their Guardian cap, I think like people will be like, "Oh, that's kind of cool, actually."
Yeah.
Or if like dudes are like, "Well, my head is big, body must get bigger," legalize steroids. Um,
Well, I mean, look, if they're going to legalize hormone treatments,
it's gender
what can I
affirming care.
say? Gender affirming care should remain legal. It should be free. Trans health care is a human right.
All
And
healthcare
that
is a human right.
exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say. And that goes from whether you are looking for a counselor to help you figure out what you're going through or how you want to look at yourself and identify, or if you want to go through full on gender affirming care to every possible level that you can take that. I believe that should be free because it is healthcare and healthcare is a human right.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing about the world we live in is that like it's
God, it's
been
so
said.
hard not to fucking talk about politics right
I
now.
know it's been said in many different ways, but like there's like it's kind of a meme at this point. It's like we used to just like be hunters and gatherers, and now we set up like life insurance and bullshit and a whole bunch of like antitrust fund. Like, what are we
Yeah,
doing?
it's
What are we doing?
there's got to be a nice middle ground between the like I'm a primal warrior lifestyle like
Yeah,
Liver King shit and
and
like
like
money
crypto
isn't
bros.
real but I certainly own it all. Yeah, exactly, crypto
Yeah,
bros. So, we live in a wild time, and I
yeah.
think that is part of the reason I'm so glad we have stuff like Spawn to dig into, because and to make segues about, because it's not necessarily escapist. It's very, in some ways, grounded in a realistic, or realish, I should say, world. But I don't know. I've come to be more and more appreciative of cathartic stories where, like, people overcome the tormentors and manipulators that are trying to make them do shit that is against their own self-interest. So if it's maybe something I relate to.
I think that the reason that certain people want it, well, okay, hold on. Let me backtrack here. I think the reason that we had the big superhero movie boom of the late 2000s and into the 2010s is not just a reflection of like good work being done with those characters on film, but it is also a reflection of the fact that coming out of the Bush era and a time of like constant war that did not end just because of Obama, but we went into this like 8-year period of like maybe things aren't that bad, maybe they could be better, maybe like we're turning a corner on all this stuff, and
Yeah.
there was a little bit of hope. And superhero stories, because at their heart they are good versus evil stories, right? In a lot, in so many ways.
And there,
Do,
I mean, that's a complicated dynamic that a lot of people have examined more
sure,
thoroughly than even we have. But, you
but
know,
I think that those stories resonate with people, and I think you and I do this show, and we still read comics, even though we do it for work, and like it's not begrudging. Like every time I go to the comic book store, I come out with new books. You know what I mean? Like I buy I buy trades every week, like I'm still, maybe I'm not the Wednesday warrior that I was when I was in high school and college, where I was spending probably 120 to $150 a week at the comic book store when I lived at home.
God, oh God, I would
Those
just
were the days,
too
but
much.
the fact that I'm still spending $40 every couple weeks, $50 every couple weeks to pick up new books, to pick up singles of stuff that I might like, to pick up trades of stuff that I might like. I give away so many comics now where I'll just read something and be like, that was great. Oh, I have such and such a friend that would really like this, or it might resonate with them in some way. And I just
Yeah.
give it away. But like, that's my favorite thing in the world. And I keep coming back to, I'm always drawn to these like big stories about hope and heroes triumphing over villains. Vanessa, when she was at my house yesterday, was like, "What Final Fantasy should I play?" And I was like, "Oh, here we go." And
7, I guess.
I said 9 because that's what I had on the.
Sure.
I had kind of booted up on my PlayStation. I could have said 7, but unfortunately 9 starts very slowly. But yeah, I just like, I think I've said this on the podcast before, but those things and comics in general, and games that have really resonated with me, Chrono Trigger always feels like this. Final Fantasy 7 always feels like this. Feels like going to see my friends again. And when
Yeah.
I
I mean,
read,
it's a piece of comfort media in that way.
yeah, and when I read certain comics as well, uh, it becomes like going to see my friends again. In a lot of ways, Spawn has very much become that, which is very interesting because I didn't think that that was going to be the level that I would uh, relate to the character, kind of the vibe of the book, but it really has become something that I've come to appreciate. And uh, it's much good stories are, much more than just kind of skin deep. And I think that this book, while it doesn't always work, definitely swings for the fences
Yeah.
on some stuff. at least tries. It doesn't know if like giant cyborg gorilla is gonna work, but it'll
But it's
string
like
you it'll string you
giant
along for
cyborg gorilla sounds cool.
and it'll string you along for 10 issues to try it, and then it maybe a different writer gets a hold of it and you're like, "Oh fuck, actually, yeah, that does rule."
And I
You
think that's
know?
kind of the beauty of the generational nature of comic storytelling is that sometimes, and there was kind of a golden age of this in the like early to mid 2000s, of a younger generation of writers who had grown up on like Bronze Age comics and 80s comics, the post Claremont creators
Mm.
generation, let's say, the Bendises, the at some point Jeff Johns, these guys were really able to tap into things about older characters and stories that have been left on the table or unexplored in certain ways.
Well, and also
And that
they're the post 86, kind of writers. I kind of use I
exactly
always use 86 as the crucial moment, because
it
that's when you
is.
get your, the birth of Vertigo, Sandman is a little bit after, but like Watchmen, Christ on Infinite Earths being such a touchstone for so many young readers, that if you are 16 in 1986 and you are 26 and you get to write a comic book in 1996, or you're in your 30s and you get to
Yeah.
write a comic book in the 2000s, like a
You're going
Bendis,
to be influenced. And, that's true of every writer, like this, the writers of the 70s that came after
of course.
the original Marvel guys. Even the original Marvel creators, especially the artists and stuff, were drawing on what came before. So I just think that's the beautiful nature of it. And we see that unfold through Spawn all
Hmm.
the time. We talk about that so much, especially in the tradition of the artists on the comic. And I think that's one of the things that's so engaging about it and so unique today is sure we have still at Marvel there's still another guy writing Spider-Man, there's going to be another guy writing Spider-Man in a year or two, but it's not going to be the same Spider-Man. We're at
Right.
the point where it's essentially a reboot every time, it's a new gimmick or a new high concept or whatever every time, and that's fine. Spawn does that a little bit too, but we're looking at it in the flow of a living document, like a single
Hmm.
comic. When we hit issue 100, we talked about that all the time, about how it's so rare for a comic to just go through that entire life cycle. And
Right.
now we're at a point in 121, which is the first issue we're going to talk about today, where the cycle is almost going to start repeating itself, it feels like, in a
Mm.
way where we're going back kind of again to like, okay, we're going to take another look, not necessarily take another try at reinventing the wheel, but take another look at the origin of the wheel and see what we can learn from that. And I have the feeling that's more where we're headed than like a reset here.
Yeah.
There are some
Feels like
interesting things that we'll note that do make it feel almost like a season premiere or like the second or third, the beginning of an era. But
does feel like a little bit of like an almost an alternate retelling. We'll get into the book soon. I'm so sorry, everybody, but it does feel like almost an alternate retelling of the origin of Spawn. Like,
right,
okay, we have to sort of reintroduce the characters, the character dynamics for that we did in issue 1, or we did in the first arc, that we're going to do again here now, a little bit different, a little bit updated for the time. We are we in 2003 yet? No, we're still in 2002. So, like, it is a different era. Like, this for me is, I am in high school now. There's
and
things here that to me speak to a bit of a 2000s
it's that
sensibility that is
exact era
not.
I was just talking about too, where it's so much of the spirit of comics is going back to those ideas and being like some the boy the keeping it real gone wrong example of that is Identity Crisis,
Mm,
where they were like, Dr. Light's not a goofball, he's the worst villain of all fucking time, and you're
yep.
gonna hate him for the rest of your life.
Well, and I
But
think though that comes from, so that's the thing that's interesting about Todd McFarlane though, right? Because he comes up right. I mean, he does Infinity Inc., right? And that's and Coyote. Those are his first two like big DC things. Am I
yeah,
wrong? Am
I
I
think
misremembering?
so.
But
Definitely
he's coming.
Infinity Inc.
Yeah. But he's coming up right at that crux, like at that like turning point moment. Like he's not totally a fan at that point. He is a professional just working around that stuff. And so I actually think that he synthesizes a little bit of the influence that we're talking about in a much different way.
Yeah,
And it's so interesting that Cerebus becomes the thing that he almost uses as his like touchstone, as like a that's how you do it yourself, stick it to the man kind of
because it's
like
about the art form to
ethos.
him and not so much like, I think you're right that, I think he's talked about it himself that he always had that affinity for comic art and stuff. But like, Todd McFarlane didn't grow up dreaming of telling a Spider-Man story.
Right.
I think so many creators nowadays, some of them dream of doing Spawn stories at this point. Some people, but I think that's the more common state of being, and the expected state of being from fans
Mm,
is that all the creators will come from their ranks,
right.
because then they'll know what the fans want. The problem is the people who only want to do exactly what the fans want aren't always the ones that have the most interesting or innovative ideas. If you look at like X-Men, for we always talk about X-Men, it's kind of that pinnacle of like long form comic
Kind of our Rosetta
storytelling in a
Stone and
way.
all. It's kind of the Rosetta Stone in a lot of ways, because I think because it had a singular voice really guiding it for
It's
so
the
long.
transitional title of the like original age of comics to the modern age. I mean, it's like you said, 1986 is actually the 1980 of comics. 1985 in comics was 1979. 1979 was still technically about 1972, which was actually 1968. So if you think about it in those terms,
Right.
the 90s started with X-Men in 1981,
Right.
but not until 1992 when the X-Men really became the 90s X-Men. It's very simple math when you think about it in those terms.
Of course. Yeah. Time travel, Siege Perilous.
It's
You'll get there. It's in the text.
it's
It's in the
in the
text.
text. It's
You know,
just read it.
just read it.
Just read it. But but no, that is that kind of like turning point where people were growing up on that comic and those comics. What I was going to say is if Chris Claremont only did what X-Men fans want, we wouldn't have gotten a Dark Phoenix saga necessarily,
No, hell,
you
if he
know?
did what John Byrne wanted, we wouldn't have gotten some of the stuff that we
Yeah,
got.
the
Like
Canadian,
famous.
as Claremont calls him.
Somebody somebody was saying like, who are the most like influential American artists in comics or whatever, and I was like, somebody said John Byrne. I was like, famously Canadian, like
Yeah.
famously. And somebody was like, he actually denounces Canadian citizenship and has been.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, but he's famous. He's Wolverine. Like he's the
He's from
like,
Canada.
yeah,
He was
he's
born in Canada. And
yeah.
look, I don't believe in borders, and I certainly don't think that means anything about his character, but it doesn't
I
mean he
mean,
was
there's
born in
plenty of things
America.
that I feel
You don't
about
get
his
to be like,
character.
yeah, fuck that. Canadian's not one of them. But you don't get to be like, I actually renounced my American citizenship and now I am Italiano. Like you're not Hilaria Baldwin. Okay, we're 28 minutes into this episode, technically recording, and I'm sure that means Pierce is going to cut about at least 5 minutes off of what we talked
I don't
about.
know. Sometimes I can't find good places to cut it. And also, I
Okay,
just
well,
have a good
maybe the
time talking to you,
CTE
my
shit,
friend.
although that's important. Maybe people want to hear
Yeah.
it.
Sometimes if there's not great continuity for where I can actually cut, then I have to keep it all in because
Fair.
it doesn't.
Well, maybe our listeners will get 29 minutes of lead up before I say, Pierce, hit me with those credits.
All right. We're going to get into Spawn number 121. Tom McFarlane and Image Comics present Salvation Road, Part 1. Plot by Todd McFarlane and Brian Holguin. Story by Brian Holguin. Pencils by Angel Medina. Inks by Danny Miki. Victor Olazaba. Alan Martinez. Crime Lab Studios. Lettering by Tom Warzakowski. Colors by Dan Kemp and Brian Haberlin. Cover by Greg Capullo. And there is a
Greg
dedication.
Capullo.
And this comic is dedicated to swollen members. That's what it says.
I'm speechless. Is that like an industrial
I mean, it
group?
must be a band, right? Like,
I I don't know. We're gonna find out right now. Swollen Members is okay. They're a Canadian hip hop group. That makes
oh, thank
sense.
God.
Thank
Thank
God.
God.
Thank God.
So I didn't look it up purposely because I wanted to tell you
Just
on
yeah,
air.
yeah. No, that makes perfect
Oh my
sense on some
goodness.
level. I mean, I guess.
Oh,
Oh, okay. They had
Mocha
features from
Only,
people I've heard of. Del the
Easy
Funky Homo
Rock, and
Sapien and AC
Zodak.
Alone. AC Alone, great producer. Some of the guys from Jurassic 5, another great hip hop group. Anyway, this is
Good.
not
Well,
hiphography.
from speaking of Drake, from 1996 to 2016, Swollen Members were the second best-selling Canadian hip-hop artist in Canada behind Drake, and were the best-selling Canadian hip-hop group in Canada.
Wow, good for them.
So,
And I Todd McFarlane is from Canada as well, famously Canadian.
yep.
And so there you have it. Yeah, no, so that's great. Swollen Members.
He directed a music video for their song Breathe,
Makes
featuring
sense.
Nelly Furtado.
Oh,
And
wow,
he
another Canadian, of
also
course.
created the cover art for their album Heavy, which would be released the following year. So,
Oh, how
thank
about that?
God that this comic is not dedicated to erections.
Yeah,
But
how
also,
about
why
that?
would you name your group Swollen Members?
I mean, you know why, Pierce? Because we just reacted to it so strongly.
That's true.
I I don't know which I wanted more.
Swollen member or what?
Yeah. No, which I wanted it more to refer to, like
Oh,
something artistic and creative, or just like this one's dedicated to monster hogs. Pierce
anyway.
almost died because I said that while they were drinking.
Anyway, we open in New York, and where we last left our hero,
Speaking of segues,
is that after finding out that Cog is evil and
he's
that he's
Kane.
Kane, and that the
It's
Fox
Kane. Oh
didn't
my
really.
God, it's Kane. I
How
can't
long
believe I
did you
did
think that
that.
him and Undertaker were actually brothers? Because I thought that for a really long time. That was like a schoolyard lie that I
Oh yeah, I mean
believed.
that was the storyline, but like I probably thought it, I don't know, but Kane was my favorite for a long time because he was like goth, and him and Jeff Hardy, I like the Hardy Boys because they dressed like I dressed, an idiot.
And they solved mysteries.
That's exactly right. I grew up reading their mysteries. Anyway, I can't
It's
believe I
crazy
didn't
their
say it's Kane last time.
transformation. I didn't see
This
that coming from the books.
no, yeah, crazy. One of the weirdest reboots of all time. Kane, Glenn Jacobs, is a famously like extremely conservative
Yeah, that
libertarian
tracks.
like MAGA guy who is the mayor of a town in Tennessee and
What the
is like,
fuck? Why do we all keep why do multiple communities keep being like, yeah, we're gonna elect that guy because we really like the promos he cut in 1985. So we're gonna
people, we live
Jesse.
in a clout-based economy and that's people like celebrities. I mean, that's what happened to Donald Trump in the first case, is
That's a
people
good
knew him
point.
from the Apprentice, and so he had a
I
lot of
knew him from
face
Home Alone too.
recognition. Yeah, his
Um,
best role. Yeah, so
oh,
Al
I was
Simmons
also watching
apparently,
Sex in the City the other day, and he's just randomly in that. I was like,
great stuff.
oh, brother.
Great stuff.
Anyway,
When he was a cultural novelty at best.
yep.
Anyway, we live in Hell World, and speaking of Hell World, Al Simmons is
This is our fourth
apparently
segue.
walking. Dude, we're crushing it tonight with these. Al Simmons is walking down the street in his military uniform. It's raining. He seems lost. He reaches into his pocket. What's in there but worms,
Some
just like
worms.
me when I try to pay for my breakfast. Just pocket of cold spaghetti. And he's trying to tell himself to wake up. It's just a dream. Now we turn the page and we get a really sick double page spread. Kind of one of those traditions of Spawn to have a spread or a splash like this where it shows like a history of his opponents, you know. We see like Overt Kill and Simon Pure and Malbolgia and Violator
Cygor,
and Cygor. We see
Tiffany.
Tiffany. Yeah, Clown, of course. I will say one thing that I'm slightly disappointed by is this is a page that truly suffers from the omnibus uh, collection.
Yeah, because
Only
there's half of it's
in the
crease.
fold, yeah. It's just one of those things that you kind of a price you pay in adapting works that were meant to be presented in a certain format. But still looks great. The colors look great. It's kind of exactly what we were talking about. Oh my goodness. In the last issue where that red pops, it's in the background. It makes this whole like green blue color scheme of the foreground look more dramatic and interesting. Um
Also, too, this is just so much. This first page has so much narrative clarity. I know what's going on. This double page splash is really cool, a great illustration, but I get the understanding here because we have half of Al's face and half of Spawn's face with half of Clown's face and half of Violator's face. Like, I
right.
get what we're doing here. This is cool. Keep going.
Yeah, I like it. So back to Al. He's walking down the street. He's clearly having these flashes of his history in his mind. An apparent night person who we haven't seen in a long
New
time. The
night
night
person.
people, a new night person. We don't know his name. Shows up and is like, "Hey, what's your name? Let me get you inside out of the rain. You don't look good." And the cops show up, bad situation, and they take the guy who's trying to help Al away. They go up to him and they're like, "Can you step on the sidewalk, please? Stop resisting. We can't have you standing in the middle of the street. Stop resisting. Stop resisting." And they kind of put their hands on him, and he throws the cop away and tosses him off and says, "Don't touch me." The cops jump him, and
Yeah, this sucks.
yeah, it's tough. The guy runs
But
away saying hate crime, which again,
it's what
I
it
mean, that's
is.
what it is. This is drawing from life. I guess we could have trigger warning that. Look, we got to start doing a blanket trigger warning at the beginning of our
I
episodes that
I
like
would like to
Spawn
think
deals
that
with mature
85
subject warning.
episodes into our show that people understand what the content of the book is. But,
Yeah. I'm
you
not
know,
like annoyed by content warnings. We don't script this.
yeah,
So,
clearly. We
yeah.
spent 40 minutes talking about CTE.
Yeah. Maybe for a reason related to that. I do have a giant crack in my skull, and the left side of my skull is
I got hit by a
smaller.
car once. I know
Yep.
how it is.
Yep. I was bashed in the face with a Friendly's door when I was 3.
Friendly, you bet we are.
I love Friendly's. I would go to Friendly's every day.
That's how you got to answer the phone if you call friendlies, that's how they have to answer the phone.
Friendly's patty melt, pickles on the side, then the like Reese's clown head sundae, whatever they call that, mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Actually, weirdly,
Send
it's
me to
called the
heaven.
Violator.
That's isn't it? That's crazy. Send me to heaven, send me to hell, whichever one serves Friendlies. Friendlies was my original waffle. I think Friendlies was my first like autism lunch. Like I just loved Friendlies so much when I was a little kid. When I had surgery, God, we're just avoiding talking about these boring fucking
It's
Spawn
because
issues.
it's okay. So I mean, we can get through these books. Is the thing is like okay. So Al doesn't know what's going on. The cop gets in his face. As soon as the cop gets in his face with the flashlight, he says, "Don't touch me," and throws the cop.
Yeah.
That leads to the cops beating the shit out of him while the night person runs away and yells hate crime.
So
Obviously, Al gets booked. He's got to go to the police precinct. They get him into an orange jumpsuit very quickly, apparently.
yeah, we missed
But
the whole
they,
like him being arrested and transition. We catch up to him being fingerprinted. He doesn't
yeah.
know who he is. He's just kind of avoiding talking. He
So
gets put in
he's
a
a John
cell.
Doe.
He gets put in a cell with another guy, and the other guy immediately, who we see just as a shadow at first, starts taunting him about being a serial killer, how he's done all these murders across state lines, et cetera, et
Yeah,
cetera. As outlandish as that seems, that is incredibly real. Like killers like that is how they get caught a lot of times. Whether they are multiple murderers or just single murderers, they blab to their cellmates because they want respect in prison, the kind of respect that you can only get from other people who have done that sort of thing.
yeah.
Which,
One notable
abolish
thing
prisons.
about Al getting fingerprinted is as he walks away, the fingerprints fade away.
Yeah.
So this is our first instinct that, besides the fact that Al doesn't really know anything about himself, that something is amiss here.
Yeah.
That when with what Cog did at the end of the last arc, where he kind of separates Spawn from Al and gives Al his heart's desire, which is just to be human again, that
With
there's
Wanda.
something missing.
Yeah.
And we
Now,
can't quite put our finger on what it is yet, neither can Al. And yeah, so he
I
ends
do
up in
have a
this.
theory, which I think is going
Sure.
to inform the rest of this, which is I think this is just still hell. I think this guy's a cellmate in hell, literally. Like,
Oh no, I think we're back, but I don't think that Al has been fully is I don't think Al is fully back, because I think what we're going to find is that despite the fact that Spawn wanted to not be Al Simmons anymore, Spawn can't be Spawn without Al Simmons's humanity, as was shown to us by what happened with the Garden of Eden. And
no,
similarly, now Al can't be Al Simmons without Spawn. That
yeah, I
there's an
guess you're right.
intrinsic part of
I
him.
guess you're right. It can't be that. It can't be like a Jacob's ladder thing, which is something I was kind of reading into it through the whole thing. But now there's we're about to get to a page that kind of another thing that made me think that, but
Sure.
apparently we'll get into the reasons why. But you're right. Flipping head, there are plot reasons why it can't be
Yeah.
hell. So
And I
we'll
think
forget
part of
that.
it is that I think this story touches too many characters that we know
Yeah,
for
and it references
what's
too much real world stuff.
yeah.
I think it's a bigger mystery. I think you're right. Now, uh, we cut to Sam and Twitch, and here's where I was like, this feels off. Like
Yeah.
maybe these aren't the Sam and Twitch we know. I think the thing that's happened here is Twitch is deeply traumatized now by the
Mhm.
loss of his son. He's gone from being sort of not necessarily the eternal optimist, but the eternal analyst to
Yeah.
being just a like crushed, pessimistic, like almost sarcastic, like
Yeah, we know that he
just
basically has
done with
lost
it.
his family. He's almost lost his son. His wife. He's basically he and his wife are estranged at this point. This is the weakness of us not having read Sam and Twitch, and we'll probably get to it at some point. But so we don't know the intimate details of what Brian Michael Bendis is doing to them over in their own title.
Right.
But it doesn't seem good. Doesn't seem fun at all. And they can take it up with Mr. Bendis. But yeah, here they're not the Sam and Twitch that we're used to. And I do think that this speaks to a little bit of what Steve Niles has talked about a lot in the Hellspawn stuff, where he's like, oh yeah, we all talk and we all like figure out like where characters are and what they're doing. And there is a bit of Spawn universe type stuff going on here. If you're
Yeah.
just reading Spawn and you see Sam and Twitch like this, you're like, oh shit, what happened?
I
Right?
mean, but we
Besides
can
what I've
still
seen.
pick up those context clues, like
Yeah,
you said.
no,
Like,
totally.
but I think you're right that there's a lot more depth if we go into that. If we were to cover that at some point, which ideally we'll cover everything at some
Summer
point.
of Sam and Twitch.
The summer of Sam and Twitch. Um, you heard it here first, folks.
There you go.
So yeah, they're arguing. Sam's doing the crossword, and he says, "What's a 9-letter word for partner?" And Twitch says associate, and he's like, "I can do this myself." And there's this. We get a funny little Sam quip here where he's like, "A Twitch says so do it," and he says, ASSMONKEY, ass monkey. My partner is an ass monkey, which is a very 90s thing to say, but it did kind of make me laugh. That's like a Kevin Smith joke.
Hmm.
Um, so we cut back to Al. He's in his jail cell, and this guy is just haunting him with the most horrible descriptions of his murders and the way he tortures people. And he says, I know what you're thinking. Who's this clown talking out his ass like that? You think I'm just trying talking tough, trying to intimidate you? Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm messing with you. Keep telling yourself that, meat. Deep down, you know the truth. Sweet dreams, shy boy. And he's basically, I would assume he's telling the truth at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's no reason to lie. And there's also another reason coming up to really believe him. We cut to Al sleeping, and we see his apparent dream or nightmare. This seems to be maybe a flashback to what might have happened in the moments between when he was given Wanda's presence as like sort of his just rewards by Cog in a way, or and when he got back to Earth, he's holding Wanda, And she says, promise me you won't leave me this time. And he says, I promise. And in his hands, she just turns to sand. It's a very like,
Yeah.
Mr.
It's exactly
Stark,
what happens in that
Mr.
issue.
Stark, I don't want to go. Oh
It's
yeah, she
exactly,
does. She does
yeah.
turn to sand in his hands. That's right.
Yeah,
I
it's
forgot
exactly
that
what
we
happens in
saw
that
that in
issue.
the
It's
last
a
issue.
flashback to that.
I
And,
forgot that we actually saw that before, though.
one of the
My
things
bad.
that I do think lends a little bit of credence to your maybe this isn't real type thing is the fact that some of the dialogue that the serial killer, the Baltimore Razor, has, oh,
The
you think I'm some,
Baltimore Razor,
I
my
know. I looked it
favorite
up.
football.
Not a real thing. Not a real
No,
guy.
no.
But there was a spree killer in the 90s that like could have been the reference they're kind of making here, but not doesn't. He
Whatever.
was like
I
he
don't
was
think
like a
it's a reference. I
he
think
was
they're
like a
just
cannibal though, so I don't know, not the same.
no.
But he says like, "Oh, who do you think this clown is?" And Orzechowski doesn't bold clown like we're supposed to really call it out, you know.
But we've
But
seen clowns that are like this before in
it would be
Hellspawn.
right, and it would be almost like, "Oh, is this the Cagliostro actually didn't give you your heart's greatest desire, which is to be human again. He actually just kind of put you in an infinite hell where you are human, but you are still coming up against all of the things that you've come up against as Spawn. They are
Right.
just, you are stuck in a loop of having to experience these infuriating personalities. And like, so to your point that it could be hell, I see it. I see it. As soon as you said it, I was like, that's maybe something.
As
I
Bad
don't think that's
Religion
what it
said,
is.
how could hell be any worse?
Well,
So,
I don't think
yeah,
it is, but
he's remembering that moment when Wanda disappeared in his hands again. I forgot that was actually shown, but you are correct.
yeah.
I just didn't flip back before this episode as I maybe should have. So his public defender comes in and he's trying to explain, like, Al's trying to explain what he remembers about himself. He's like, I think my name is Al. The lawyer's like, you were wearing military fatigues. Were you a soldier? He's getting flashes of himself like Special Agent Al Simmons, like in combat,
Like
blasting his
all
guns.
Rambo'd out.
And he says, it's like, he says, I think my name is Al. And the lawyer says, okay, that's better. Call me Al, just like the song. And then Al says, it's like part of me is missing. And we keep seeing these flashes of like him crawling out of his grave, you know? The guy says, what were you doing last night? Do you remember? And he says, I don't remember. They're just talking. Oh, forgot to say, the serial killer guy gave him the like, don't say anything, like, shh,
Yeah.
took him out of his cell. He doesn't
Which
say anything in this case.
Al Simmons is not a snitch.
No, he's not. Snitches get stitches, and so does this guy in a second. First off, though, the guy says, is there anything at all that you can remember that matters? And Al says, Wanda, just Wanda. Meanwhile, back in the other cell, the serial killer guy is just sitting there looking pleased with himself, smoking
Really
a
love this
cigarette.
page, by the way.
Yes, as the shadows kind of shift around him and we see a shape come up over him. Cut to the next panel, and who is it but Spawn stepping through the bars of the cage? Now, something interesting to note here is his Malbolgia symbol is fading.
Mm-hmm.
And that is
And even the
not an
big
accident.
white eye kind of
Yes.
holes are kind of fading to the point where it looks like he's got little devil horns, which I think is a cool, nice touch.
Yes. So the guy says, who are you? And Spawn grabs him and he says, you know why I'm here. Meanwhile, Sam and Twitch are, kind of back at their office and they're talking about how Al punched out the other cops and how they brought him in. They say, I guess he just snapped. Then one of the other guys, it's Twitch, sorry.
Yeah.
He takes his glasses off. Twitch is looking at the photos and he says, did we get a new camera? And they say no. And he says, different film, change the lighting. Nope, same old 30-year-old crap. Why? And Twitch says, well, it's nothing, just a little strange. Take a look. He doesn't have a shadow. Now, this is another thing that kind of made me feel like maybe we're not seeing the whole reality here because, like, if they were, maybe they are recognizing it right now that Al, who doesn't cast a shadow, might be Spawn, or maybe some of that's been wiped out of people's minds. We'll find out. This is all speculation about like where this could go.
I mean, a thing about it is I think that as much as Twitch is being um, a good detective here, they don't say that his name is Al. So and because they know that Al
Oh,
Simmons
that's
is Spawn,
fair. They don't say
and
Al
they
here.
just call him a John Doe, and
That's right.
also Sam and
Man, my
Twitch,
brain's not working great tonight.
Sam
That's
and Twitch
twice in a
have
row that I just
never seen
missed a
him
fact.
human.
No, that's sure. So they don't. That's true.
Technically,
They
I
don't
guess.
I forgot that she doesn't say he. She calls him a John Doe here. I
Yeah,
even just read it, but that's where my brain is at right now in
all good.
terms of like focus. So I'm trying, y'all. The fucking first 40 minutes of this episode will tell you where we're at. That said, we're almost at the end of this first issue. Because as Twitch and Sam are realizing there's no shadow in the photo of Al, they hear screaming from down the hall, and someone starts calling for an ambulance in the cell. They
Incredible
go
panel
in.
of Sam and Twitch entering the cell.
Yes,
Love
great
that.
panel. Another great use of that red lighting.
Yeah, the
Really
red is good.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's just when it's played right. And speaking of which, this next panel is just the red is striking as we see that the Baltimore Razor has been fully skinned. He's laying there literally skinless, unlike Jason Wynn, who was made to believe he had no skin.
Right.
That will become relevant, and it's not an accident. This parallel, I don't think, by any means.
The funniest line in this is somebody off panel going, "This is going to make that plunger fiasco look like a day at the beach."
Wow. Yeah, I guess it will, bud. I guess it will. Sorry for you. So meanwhile, back in Queens, New York, we see that back at home, who else but Cyan is sitting on the couch singing "He Was a Skater Boy, Said See You Later Boy." And
Okay, question here.
mhm.
Who the fuck is that?
Well, I think that's Cyan, who's like growing up a little bit now.
Then who are the babies of the twins?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about them.
It's been a while since we checked in with them.
Okay. I was like, is this some sort of babysitter? What's going on here? And then as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, right. She had fucking twins. Okay.
Bro,
Yes.
it's like we don't host this podcast
I
right
know.
now.
Well, sometimes we do have extended breaks
We
from
did
recording,
have a little bit
so
of a break from
it's fine.
recording this time.
Anyway, yes, Cyan is singing Avril Lavigne. The twins are drawing on the walls, and Wanda is picking up the phone.
And she's like begging them to be quiet, as parents often do. But she drops the phone and says, "Oh my God," because,
Bum, bum,
well,
bum.
we'll have to find out. Pierce, without any further ado, I think it is long past time to hit me with that second set of credits.
Cool. This is going to be Spawn number 122. Tom McFarlane Image Comics present Salvation Road Part 2. Luckily, has all the same exact credits, so I'm not going to read them again. However, dedicated to Nelly Furtado.
Hell yeah.
Which we know why now.
Yes. That's great.
Dedicated to Swollen members and
Nelly
Furtado.
Yeah, how about that?
Which,
good for them. Probably a great combination.
I was going to say two great tastes that taste great together, but
sure.
I don't know. I don't know if our listeners want to hear that about Swollen
What
members.
Are we talking about? Oh, Jesus.
Anyway, we're going to open this issue with Terry and Wanda have been called by the police because somebody has been messing with Al Simmons's grave. And
yes.
I kind of like love Wanda's reaction here because they're like, listen, would anybody want to break into your grave? Was there anything buried with him that somebody would want? By the way, this canonically, I guess, would be the second time somebody did this because Al did it once to himself.
Oh, he's been dug up a lot.
So,
like he's been
although I guess
it.
That might be one where it didn't really happen, but it kind of happened in his mind a little bit, right? We could kind of no prize it. And but I like Wanda's reaction here. It feels really real because she says, "I can't take it, Terry. It never ends," and she's just so
over
this
it.
This woman is so put upon by her dead husband in a way
And
that
even her
is,
alive husband's
well, that's
relationship with
true,
her dead husband.
but in a way that is just unfair to her. And
Yeah,
justice for
absolutely.
Wanda.
Justice for Wanda. Meanwhile, back in an apartment somewhere, a young woman is writing in her journal. She's saying, "No man can run from his shadow. There's something hunting. This much I know. He appeared a couple nights ago, cold, lost, terrified. There's something hunting him, and it will find him soon enough." She's clearly talking about Al, the reborn Al. We see that she's in a well appointed kind of apartment, very clean, but it has like kind of also occult looking stuff everywhere.
She has the kind of haircut that you assume that an alternative character in a 2000s comic would have. And what I mean by that is
Yeah,
that, oh, and also that you're supposed to know that she's probably Asian in some way, because there wasn't a single Asian character in comics or any media that didn't have black hair with some strip of a color in it.
right. Yeah, like a
So
stripe of color. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway,
I don't
I
know
do
why
like
that
this.
became a trope, but it did, weirdly.
It sure did. Um, well, I like this 2 page spread here where it's kind of her sort of interpreting Spawn's story. I like the devil face kind of up in the top right corner of this page.
Medina's like stretching some different muscles here, I guess, because they're like, this isn't your drawing, this is her drawing. So he's like trying to
Yeah, and
do something a little
also
different.
he's kind of following in those footsteps again of those kind of sort of very eclectic layouts and stuff that some of those dreamlike pages that Todd and Greg themselves did over the years. But yeah, it's just kind of recapping sort of the thematic idea of Spawn. And it says, "There's a great magic at work here. I can feel it. It's in the air, skimming through the atmosphere like radio waves. Powerful forces are choosing sides. He is the still and quiet center around which a terrible storm is gathering, and he has no idea it's coming." The problem I have is if there's anything that's been written in Spawn over and over so far, it's exactly that. Like, he is at the center of a storm he doesn't know coming.
Well, and before it was Cog saying it to Spawn. And so now to have random character just be like, I sense a thing. We've already done well, I guess at this point it's maybe not fully out, but the Hellspawn, this is doing a parallel track to Hellspawn at this point, right? Because it's doing a parallel track to the girl in that book who's sort
Yeah.
of beset by Spawn and Clown and whatever, right? Like it is the more PG/PG-13 version as opposed to like the rated R version, but and I get that it is an introduction of a new piece to the puzzle, right? But we
Yeah.
lost Cog as the sort of exposition man who warns of the incoming
My
threat.
least favorite superhero.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's nobody to say these things now
Right.
to Al. So like, this character almost has to exist from a story standpoint just to get some of this stuff across. Here's the thing that's weird about that, though. We've talked about X-Men all the time. And if you want to do this kind of thing, just do. And Frank Miller does this too. So it's interesting that Todd doesn't go and try to do this. Just do the Claremontian narrator thing. Just tell me in captions a whole bunch of bullshit from an omniscient narrator. I don't know that I need this character. Now, we'll get to this in the episode. I'm going to skip ahead slightly, but this is Nyx. Nyx
Yeah.
is fairly important to the lore as she is the current Queen of Hell in 2025.
We'll learn about that soon enough.
Yeah, in like 7 years when we get there.
Yeah.
But
For
so
now,
like
she approaches Al while he's playing in the park or watching kids play in the park. And he's saying, I can't remember a thing. I'm not sure even of my name. Everything, the smell of the
this
grass.
scene is kind of just the beginning of Face Off, except he doesn't get shot. A kid doesn't get shot in the head.
Okay, yeah. I forget the beginning. The only part of Face Off I remember is I could eat a peach for hours.
That is not the beginning.
No.
The
Like
beginning
it's
is the carousel where John Travolta's playing with his kid, and
sure.
Nicolas Cage means to shoot John Travolta, but shoots the kid instead.
Well,
And then that is the
that's
inciting
right.
incident of the film.
Honestly,
And then later they wear the boots from Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
I'm gonna be a little controversial and say that movie's way too long for me. Face Off.
It's pretty good though.
It's fine. It feels like it goes on a long time, like
I
this
just want to
episode
take
is.
his face off.
He said it. He said the thing.
Is that the thing?
Anyway, he says the thing that I like is he's like, I don't remember anything, so all of these are new experiences. Right now, I'm
And
the
he's
happiest
he's
man in the
like, this
world.
is beautiful. Life is
Yeah.
beautiful. Life is good. Yeah.
He says, maybe I should be worried, but how can I? It's such a perfect day. Interestingly enough, as he's thinking that, he's stepping on chewing gum. Not so perfect. Meanwhile, back at the police station, they are realizing that Al was allowed to, for some reason, just walk
Just
away.
leave.
Yeah, so he finds a bag of old, stale, nasty popcorn. He starts eating it and he thinks it's delicious. Meanwhile, from the shadows underneath the carousel, we see who looking out, but apparently Spawn. Meanwhile, as he is kind of
That is one
hiding
of
and
the things,
watching Al.
as you're summarizing, I'm realizing the problem that I have with these two issues. It's just, and then, and then, and then, and then.
But nothing's
Nothing.
actually really happening.
No, it's just, here's a scene, here's a scene, here's a scene, here's a scene. There's some stuff in it.
Yeah, the art is good. The art is all fine. We called out the colors in those couple of pages. At this point, what we're seeing here is more kind of the standard expected look of Spawn at this time than some of the more kind of out there palettes or more clashy palettes.
The last arc went so like balls to the wall in terms of like layouts and like dynamic poses and stuff, like anatomy and color palettes, as you said. This really just like dials it back pretty
It's
hard.
mostly people walking around. Speaking of which,
it's because the script's not that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's got some nice tidbits as they usually do, but yeah, while Spawn is kind of hiding in the shadows of the carousel that Al is watching, Nyx is casting a spell to try and track Al down with the sense that she needs to help him. She does this moon ritual thing, which is kind of interesting because certainly the like moon Wicca thing was at maybe its apex in the early 2000s, mid 90s kind of era. Not that it's not interesting and fun, but here we get a pretty cool page of her with like Spawn's eyes kind of spreading out almost like wings behind her with the like moon cycle around her.
I think that this page is kind of bad in like a high school art kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, but it's not as involved.
It feels like the person in my high school art class who was like technically kind of good because they drew a lot of anime.
Leave me alone.
And then like, like they turned this in as a project, and like I can't draw like this at all. But like it's still just kind of.
Well,
I don't
Pierce,
know.
again, leave me alone. Stop coming for my fucking neck, dog. So maybe that's why I like it, because it does look like some shit that would have been in one of my fucking notebooks specifically.
In a notebook, fine. I just mean it would have been passed off as like, no, this is like my magnum opus, and it's like, okay,
I mean, it probably would have.
It's just the moon and a fairy, like.
Real story. One time in pottery class, I made a bong, a non-functional one, because I didn't know really how to do that or how to use it or whatever. But I wanted to basically troll my mom, and she still has it on her mantle. And I don't know if she was just like, well, it doesn't do anything, so it's art.
It's harmless.
Yeah.
It's a representation.
It's ceci n'est pas un bong.
Yeah. There you go.
Meanwhile, Nyx is doing a ritual that involves now using the Ouija board, trying to contact Spawn. She says, is there a presence? Is
Is that a
someone
thing
there?
using the Ouija board with a wine glass? Can you use that as like a
Yeah.
thing if you don't have if you lose the little piece?
I mean, theoretically, yeah. If you don't
Hmm,
have the planchette, it's more
that's what it
about
is.
like guiding, having something that guides a glass. You can do that. Um, but what's important is the candle that she's lit. When she asks, "Is there a presence?" she gets a response, as
Nice.
in a huge wave of green fire erupting from her candle, surrounding her. She says, "Oh, that's subtle." Meanwhile, Al is wandering through, well, what appears to be Rat City. He's saying, "Where am I? Why did I come here? I think this used to be my home." And we see who but the night people.
Pretty
They're all
sad.
ghosts, though,
Yeah, it's
unfortunately.
sad.
It is. And, Bootsy's saying, "Why did you
No,
go?" Or,
not
sorry.
Bootsy.
No, no, no. Isn't that? No,
Bobby.
that's Bobby. I'm so sorry. Bobby
Bootsy's an
is
angel.
saying, yes, he is. Bootsy's an
He's in
angel.
heaven jail.
Yeah, he's in heaven jail. And Bobby says, that's all it is, man. Says, "Why'd you do it, Al? Why'd you leave us?" And they're saying, "Do you know?" He says, "Do you know who I am?" Then they're all gone.
Big Texas is a reason fan.
Yeah. And
For anybody that
okay.
doesn't understand that joke, their big record is called "Do You Know Who You Are?"
Yeah. And boy, that is a
So,
fucking talk
I'm
about
so
mid-90s
sorry.
emo jokes. Um Al hears the scraping of chains, like the drumming of a heartbeat, and he thinks, "I think it's mine." He comes
Hmm.
around the corner and finds who but Spawn sitting on his throne of skulls
Looking
saying,
sick as
"I've been
hell.
waiting for you." And again, the M from his face and the
Basically
white from
gone.
around his eyes and his chest, yeah, all
Also,
gone.
no like little skull like pendants holding things on. Like
Nope.
he's kind of like
It's
missing pieces,
Yeah, he's just like a
which is cool.
shadow and a cape, and he's got the skull hanging off his
Yeah, off his
finger.
finger.
This whole panel looks awesome. It's
Fuck
actually
yeah.
a very Mephisto esque kind of pose. I'm thinking specifically of like a John Buscema, pretty
Mm,
well known, um,
absolutely.
and it's awesome. It's so good. Maybe one of my favorite spawns from Medina yet. Here we get him like laying his fingers out on the throne. It's a very Umberto Ramos looking
Oh, also
kind of
notably,
hand.
no big boot.
No big boot. Yeah,
Like
he's not
that's
wearing.
another thing that's missing. He doesn't have the
It's
gauntlets. He doesn't have the boots. He is literally a shadow with a cape, and it's
pretty cool.
weird because we just don't see him like this often.
But he does seem incomplete and like parts of him are missing.
Yeah.
Now, what that makes me think is maybe this is a Back to the Future type situation where both of them will fade away if they're not together.
I think it's more of the an armor of God situation.
Oh, okay, yeah,
It's
where you call
it's like
forth the
the
sword of righteousness and the armor of truth.
yeah, it's like
And
but it's the armor of Al.
yeah,
That's how
that's fair.
Spawn and Al need to become one again
Yeah.
to
They need to pull a Spice Girls and two become one.
yeah, exactly.
They need some love like they'd never needed love before. They're gonna switch out plasms, baby.
Oh,
Um,
hold on. If Al wants to be Spawn's lover, he's got to go with his friends.
that's right. The
Then they'll make it last forever.
Well, that's true because friendship never ends.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, seminal hit of the 1990 era, 97,
Yes.
which was technically 1995.
Spice Girls also weirdly would have been referenced right around this time by one Grant Morrison
That's right.
in their X-Men run. Do you know how?
I can't remember, but I
The
remember
Stepford
that it happened.
Cuckoos
That's right. That's right.
are the 5 and 1, and their names start with the letters of Spice.
That's right.
Sophie, Phoebe, Irma, Celeste, and Esme.
That's right. Well, there you have it, folks. Done another good episode of. So as
we're checking all the boxes. Brought up X-Men, brought up Grant Morrison, brought up Spice Girls, brought up a sport.
That's right. I'm Sport Barbie. I'm sports dad Spawn.
You could have just said Sporty Spice. It would have worked right there. It was right there for you.
I'm quitting the
Anyway,
show.
your last
Quitting the show.
episode.
Glad. Thanks for pointing out my shortest shortcoming so far in the entire history of this podcast, Pierce. Really glad you put the the bullet on that because I deserved it.
Well, listen, I got to keep you honest.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Listen, we steel sharpens steel. I'm making you better.
Game
Okay.
recognized game. That's right. And speaking of which, the game that is Al Simmons recognizes the game within Spawn. The
Oh
game
boy.
within me acknowledges the game within you, Pierce. And Spawn leaps on him as he yells, "No!" But interestingly enough, when he yells "no," we get that kind of green Spawn looking font. He's running away, but the shadow of Spawn is rushing to envelop him. As he reaches the edge of the alley, he sees who but Nitch. Nitch? My God, I was looking at the word. He sees who but Nix. And she's holding a Starbucks coffee. And she says, "My name is Nix. I'm here to help you." Love the panel at the top of Al with his thing. It's a very like manga face there. Like that
Yeah.
is a like
When Medina does like the sort of manga stuff in stops and starts and isn't doing it in like an action scene so much, like we got in the last arc where it was like
when
a
he's using it
bunch
for
of
acting
a
and stuff, it
bunch of
looks
like
great.
total craziness at all given times. I will say the only thing is, and this is a problem of the book entirely, I don't know what Al Simmons looks like.
It's changed a lot.
Al Simmons has looked extremely different across different artists and even within artists' own runs. Now, I'm willing to no prize that as like
We're not really ever
maybe
seeing the
we're
actual Al.
but we do get kind of some flashbacks that like should be Al because it's
We're
Wanda
seeing
remembering
memories of
him and
Al. We're
stuff.
seeing memories of Al.
Right.
And
So
memories fade. The worst thing I've ever heard in my life, and the irony of this is that I constantly am remembering it, is that when you think of a memory, you're not remembering the memory. You're remembering the last time you remembered it, which is why it degrades like a VHS tape. And that's the only existential thing that I think really I hate. Like
wow, I
we could
hate
get
that.
hit by a quasar beam that evaporates the earth without us ever knowing, and I guess I wouldn't care. But I hate that I can't remember my memory. I can only remember the memory of the memory.
Yeah, I hate
Wow.
that.
Yeah. So, anyway, speaking of existential dread, back to Spawn, we cut to Terry, who is confronting his boss. And he's saying, "Look, I know this is out of my range since I quit working in espionage here, but something's going on. We're talking about my best friend, my wife's first husband. Something's going
I
on."
just want some information here, and basically
Because
they're just like, you don't have the clearance anymore. I can't even
we
do that.
haven't addressed the fact yet that what this is in reference to is that they discovered someone, Spawn, was going back into his own files, and they haven't figured out why or who. And so, yeah, they're saying, "I can't even give you clearance to tell you what happened." He says, "In fact, the boss says inquiries are being made as we speak." We cut to the final page of the issue where two soldiers are walking down to a cell. They're saying, "What do you think they want with him?" He says, "I don't know, dog. He used to be the top dog around here, believe it or not. They probably want to pick whatever's left of his brain." And they get to the cell, and who's in there but Jason Wynn, looking fucking ripped. He looks like he's
He
been
looks
in
so
like Russian
jacked.
prison fight club. Like,
He looks like super jacked Cogliostro. And
yeah, he does.
Cogliostro, as we know, canonically,
Super
pretty
jacked.
jacked. Pretty
Yeah,
jacked.
he's
But
got
not
that
this
weird,
jacked.
like Willem Dafoe old man abs.
Yeah, it's great.
Willem Dafoe would be a fucking sick cog. Oh, that's so much better than we'd ever deserve.
Oh, Spawn. Yeah, he would. He would be good.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking of his like Spider-Man.
yeah, exactly. Good Malbolgia, but I think he'd be a great cog. Really
He'd be
offbeat.
a
He'd
better
nail the like.
Malbolgia.
Maybe he'd nail that weird eccentricity of cog that I
Daniel
think like.
Day-Lewis would be a great
You know
Cogliostro.
what? I hope he comes. I hope he continues being out of retirement so he can play Cogliostro opposite Jamie Foxx and Spawn and Jeremy Renner. And so, yeah, we leave off with the return of Jason Wynn, presumably as part of the investigation into what was going on with the files. We come back to files.
Probably.
Finally, it's been so long since we've dealt with files or had to talk about files.
And that will lead us to Spawn number 123. Tom McFarlane Image Comics
What
present.
are you doing?
No, I'm kidding.
Dude. I was like, we didn't discuss a third one. I mean, we can.
No,
But if you look at that timer, we're about to pull off a fucking miracle right now.
3 hour long episode.
Oh my God. On that note, what are your final thoughts here, Pierce?
So final thoughts is that this is a very strange arc in the sense that it is trying to not do a reboot, but it is trying to reset us a little bit to factory settings. I do think that 121 is a scary number. And I do think that I think that we had a couple of kind of banger arcs, like that were fun and big. And like, I didn't love the last arc in terms of like visual clarity. And like, Medina is still pretty solidly at the bottom of my list of Spawn artists.
But that gap is closing to me all the time.
It's closing on, you know what? Here's the thing. Actually, he's above Dwayne Turner. And that's not even Dwayne Turner's fault.
No,
it's just
not.
That Dwayne Turner's got a lot of bullshit that he's gotten to draw in Curse of the Spawn that's like not good.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking ongoing series artists,
ongoing series artists. Yeah, there's three, right? It's
he
Todd,
had a
Greg,
he
and
did a
Angel
fill
Medina.
it. Tony Daniel also had a small stint.
That's true. He had a minute
alongside.
There. He's
Capullo.
catching up to Tony Daniel.
Sure, yeah. I think he's better than Tony Daniel. I think he's way better than Tony Daniel.
I don't know. I think that Tony Daniel's style is just so much more classic superhero stuff.
See, I felt it was really sparse at the time. Here, to me,
I'm probably bringing a little bit of modern Tony Daniel to my memory of the memory of the memory.
The memory of Tony Daniel, yeah. No, you're probably right. But yeah, I mean, to me, right, I'm really enjoying Medina's art on this, maybe more than I expected to. I think he's bringing at this point some things that other artists actually haven't brought. And if we're talking about the tier list of like Todd, Greg, and Medina, I mean, yeah, he's in third place, but I don't think he's like miles behind Capullo. He just hasn't done as many issues.
You think Capullo's too?
Or McFarlane, I don't know. I don't have. You know what? I don't have an opinion between 1 and 2.
I think the problem is that I think Capullo is one.
Definitive. Yeah, that's fair. Well, okay, sure.
Todd is.
I wasn't trying to make a declaration about that. I was trying to say like the distance between the different places. It's not a wide gap to me. I feel like he's living up to the legacy of Spawn.
I think that I'm having an overall good time, like overall positive, like batting average solid, batting average just lower. Like,
yeah, my opinion.
I don't know that I ever had any point with Capullo where I was like, oof, bad issue.
Right.
And again, I think a big part of that might be me bringing my own Capullo history to.
Sure. I mean, I don't think we necessarily need to litigate all of that, but like if we're talking about the gap between Medina in third place and whoever's in second, Todd, sure. I think if we're talking about the most definitive like Spawn artist, then it's hard to not name his creator, but I think Capullo in terms of storytelling and stuff and the evolution of the character has a lot of responsibility for that. So sure. But I think just Medina is closing the gap, and I don't think he's going to surpass Todd McFarlane or Greg Capullo as a Spawn artist.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to gain on them closer and closer throughout his run.
I think he's going to make it so much harder for the next guy. That's kind
a good
of
point.
How I feel is like now you're going to be up against another guy who is, because this is what's happening out the gate. I was definitely like, ooh, this isn't working for me. These issues are fine. There's nothing fine. Like there's nothing wrong with them. And the last couple issues were also like a bit harried and busy, but I actually put so much of that on the coloring team that
there were some visual inconsistencies. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. For my final opinion here is relatively similar. I think that how to say this. I think that these are maybe my least two favorite issues in a while, in the sense
Hmm.
that even their big moments are just set up. There's
These are
not a
shoe
lot
leather
of like,
issues.
yeah,
They're shoe leather issues.
and even even considering the visual inconsistencies, the last couple issues were very high energy and high octane, and so it feels like we're pulling back from seeing that ascendant Spawn to
Yeah.
seeing a more weak and kind of reset to the beginning version of the character, which I think is intentional, of course, but that does feel like just suddenly hitting the brakes and trying to check out the scenery, trying to get on
It,
an exit ramp.
it's also that the last arc, especially, has payoffs for stuff. And now we're getting a sort of rehashing of the stuff we know
Right.
as long time readers. I think, again, if you're reading us, there's there's almost a case to be made for if Todd was ever going to relaunch Spawn, you can relaunch Spawn Volume 2 number 1 here, because you and like you could take 6 months off and be like, we're relaunching with a new, you know what I mean? Like almost like the more modern way to do this would have been to relaunch with like a new number 1, and
But I think that's, Todd has
with like
talked about that.
with like sort of like a new all new, all different Spawn, right? That's kind of the vibe that the book kind of has right now, of like everything you thought you knew was wrong.
Sure.
This is
But
a new era.
it's
So
another example of of Todd being able to do that within just
mhm.
having a core Spawn title that accommodates that. And of course, it's a whole Spawn universe now. There's a bunch of stuff around it. But yeah, I think that it's not possible for every comic to keep up the like level of like huge
Yeah.
reveal of like Cog's master plan in every issue. I don't think that's a reasonable expectation. I think what is different is the noticeable change in energy here. Is it feels like we're going back to Spawn from 12 issues ago almost, or
Mhm.
from 15 issues ago, or even closer to 100, where like I said, Spawn's been in ascent since that
Mhm.
time, since those issues, and now it feels like he's being knocked down a peg, and that feels very intentional. It feels like a storytelling gateway, so I'm not down on that. It's just the energy of these issues feels more subdued to me.
There's also a thing here where, because Todd was never a great like A plot, B plot, C plot juggler, and Holguin is a better juggler of minor plots and then elevating them. It, this is not. I think Bendis actually became somebody who was very good at that. Dan Slott is another guy who was just excellent at being like A plot, B plot, C plot, D plot, E plot, F plot. And
Yeah,
then if you read Dan Slott's Spider-Man for long enough, F plot becomes A plot eventually,
right,
in a way that like really pays you off as a reader. Is, as much as like I don't love all of the stuff that guy's ever done, I have to hand it to him for understanding the medium to such a level of just like, great, I will drop one page here and one page here and one page here and 2 pages here, and now that's my main story, and here
right.
we go, in a way that
Bendis, go ahead.
kept him getting, like, that's what kept him on Spider-Man with Superior
Yeah,
Spider-Man, is he was like, look what I already did, it's coming. And everybody was like, yeah, I guess we got to let you cook, man. Bendis gets there as well with his Avengers, especially.
uh, Bendis to me is more of a Stephen King,
Okay.
where the start of his stories is great, and the characters he builds are great, and the story threads that he lays are great. But I feel like too often his endings fail to feel like an actual climax. It's always just like, and now the story ends.
Oh,
Like
see, I think
his
that that's,
Avengers run, New Avengers started great early. It got
mhm.
long in the tooth by the end. When it relaunches just Avengers, that was kind of a misstep to me. They tried to do the whole like story with the hood and the Infinity Stones, and it just kind of ended with like, it had the ramification of Captain America finding about the Illuminati, which was fine, but
Hmm.
like it ended with barely a fight. Maybe the biggest payoff he did was his Norman Osborn super adaptoid thing, at the end of that run when Norman Osborn brings back Hammer. But I don't know. I'm pretty lukewarm on a lot
I
of that
mean,
stuff.
I,
I'm not.
I
I
guess
like Bendis
I
in
guess
a
like
lot of
with Bendis,
cases.
I think about him working on a more operatic scale because I think of his stuff as more impactful on a large level, right? It's not just character based because he typically worked in team books. It
Yeah,
is like impactful for the universe. So
but he
like
thrives in that team dynamic.
no, no, of course, but that means though that because the ramifications of the plot have to matter to like a bunch of different characters, it means that the plot has to be bigger than a Spider-Man
Right.
story
Where it's
where it's
just Spider,
literally
or
just
a
Peter.
Spawn story where we can go back and maybe explore this
Right.
kind of thing without having to have it be that big actual step backwards. So,
Right.
yeah,
Where also too though, what I think Spawn sometimes suffers from is that early on, Todd was very like, gotta check in on all the characters because that's important. But he didn't have anything for the characters to do. Or he did have something for them to do. Wanda was like working for Terry for a little while. We just dropped it. We never followed up on it. She kind of has like 3 lines about it,
yeah,
and it's mostly just so she can be like, I never know what's going on, and
yeah.
you're like, okay, whatever, and it just kind of gets dropped.
It
There's
feels like
not,
when they try to do too much with the Terry and Wanda stuff, it starts to feel like, well, who's this about? And it
but it's because Todd was never good at figuring out how to
that's what I'm saying. It
marry.
feels like the creators are start to go like, who is this actually about though, and try
Right.
to pull back the lens to Spawn.
Which is what has happened with Todd, the way Todd talks about Spawn now, where he's like, I want to do a Sam and Twitch movie. I don't want to do a Spawn movie. Spawn will be there, but like, I want to focus on Sam and Twitch. And I realize it's because, like, one, I think in 2025, you probably don't want to be the white guy writing the black character as the main character of your book because you don't, or of your movie, because you maybe don't feel super qualified to do that, even though there are plenty of qualified writers who I'm sure would
So
jump at the
instead,
chance.
a white guy is more qualified to write about the cops.
I mean,
I mean, look, I'm not going to say Todd McFarlane is not qualified to write Spawn, the character he created,
no, of
but
course not.
he
But
is
you can
maybe not the person who
understand
might be addressing the social ramifications of what it could mean in
of
2025.
what Spawn would be in 2025.
Right.
I think that
Sure.
unfortunately he's too rich and like too disconnected from the world of what Spawn of what excuse me of the world of Al Simmons. He does not live
Sure.
in
I
Al
mean,
Simmons' world,
yeah. Well,
and yeah.
yeah.
So
So
anyway,
we're at a perfect time for the next segment of our show.
sometimes we're moving through things because we're hitting that hour and a half mark, and we're like, it is 10 p.m. Yeah, George, you got any recommendations for our listeners this week?
Yeah, I'm going to say I talked at the beginning of the show about my setback with my art and losing a lot of
Yeah.
stuff, but I think what's helping me cope with it is kind of getting back on the horse and trying to do more art and do just some sketching and some low stakes stuff just to get myself feeling like, okay, I can do this still, losing or not even losing, but currently not having access to this body of work because I mean, it's still potentially possible to recover.
Mm-hmm.
So my recommendation is if there's something you've left by the wayside that has brought you joy in the past or that you've felt a setback with, whatever it is that you've kind of maybe it's playing music, maybe it's you had an exercise routine that was important to you that you fell out of, something like that, something that if you fell away from it but it's still important to you, take a step back towards it.
Hell yeah, I love that. My recommendation is weirdly going to be similar to that. I am just going to recommend a record, but it's the new Starting Line record. They put out a record after 18 years. Haven't put out a new record since
18
2007.
years.
But it feels so. Starting Line, never a band I was like super gung ho about. Really
Yeah, I
liked
never
Best
really
of,
got into them.
solid pop punk band. I was just like, okay, I think I'm gonna tear your ass up like we just got married is a crazy line for a pop punk song, but I really love their
Sounds like
2007
Boys
record.
Night Out lyrics.
No, because that would be "It's all about the song in my head, the one where the audience is all dead." I do love Boys Night Out. These days are in me. Anyway, um, I recommend Boys Night Out. You should listen to Boys Night Out also. Specifically, Trainwreck is a really cool concept album about like some trigger warning about somebody like dealing with like addiction and mental illness, and going to like an asylum. In a way, why was so much like mid 2000s emo and post hardcore about like doctors and
Yeah,
asylums?
I mean, Alexis on Fire has accidents or on
My Chemical
purpose.
Romance also
Yeah.
has
Well, I mean, that's a lot about Gerard Way actually being in the hospital for
right,
like.
but I'm
Do
just
you know the
saying.
story behind that? He got a tooth infection, I think it was, while he was recording the vocals for "I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love," and so he wrote some songs about like that experience. And God, what is the
In the
fucking
middle of a gunfight, in the center of a restaurant. Anyway, we're gonna get
There's one song in
demonetized
particular
for
that's
singing
about
songs.
that. It
Uh,
was. I'll find it. I'll let you know. Anyway.
so the new Starting Line record is really
Oh,
solid.
this is the best day ever.
Oh, that's a great song. I love that song.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're from like Pennsylvania. They were on Drive Through Records for a while. They were very big if you were in high school when I was in high school, which is 2002 to 2006. But put out a record in 2007, and then they just like went on hiatus, and were
Yeah.
like, and like nobody heard from them ever again. The singer did a bunch of other stuff, but they put out a new record called Eternal Youth this year, and yeah, it's just there's an urgency about it that is kind of wild and sort of invigorating. I haven't been in a band now in like a year and a half, and I've been sort of I just started teaching myself guitar and stuff, and like
Yeah.
fucking around with it because I'm like, I got something brewing. I don't know. I got like some.
Gotta say something. I get it.
Yeah, and so like to hear this band just kind of come back out of nowhere and just release this thing that has so much urgency just felt really um I don't know, inspiring in a way. And yeah. And the Motion City soundtrack just put out a new record, but
Oh,
they've been
really?
putting out records. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of like I'm happy and I hope that My Chem is putting out a new record, but like I also am totally okay if they don't. But like I'm very inspired by seeing the bands that I grew up really liking who became like normal people who like were very big for like a short amount of time and then were just like, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, like we are normal people now because like some of them got jobs, like don't have record labels anymore because they're just like gonna put out their own records. It's kind of cool to see them go back to being like DIY bands essentially and put out cool music still. So because I definitely went through a little period of after my last band broke up of feeling like, oh, I guess I'm done.
Yeah, that's kind of how it
So
feels sometimes when a body of work you really care about kind of has to fall by the wayside on some level.
well, the worst part is that I don't even think that I loved my last body of work. I
Mm,
think I just did it out of like an obligation to keep doing it.
mm.
And now I want to find out how to love it again. Anyway, my recommendation is to find out how to love the thing that you used to love again. And also listen to a Starting Line record called Eternal Youth.
Well, there
And
you
also
go.
Kenny Vasoli, come on the Spawn podcast. Uh, if you like today's very rambly episode, rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate it. You can send us an email, so spawnographypod@gmail.com. Tell us if you love our show or hate our show or anything. You can comment to us on YouTube. We'll probably respond because we don't get that many comments. But, George, before we go, I have one thing to say. For Todd so loved the world,
He gave his only begotten spawn.
see you later, Hellspawn. Spawnography is recorded in Athens, Georgia, and Queens, New York. It's produced by me, Pierce Lyden. Our theme music and logo were composed by George Marston. Episodes come out every Monday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like the show, please rate, review, subscribe. You can find us on social media at Spawnography or at SpawnographyPod. If you'd like to reach out to us directly, you can do so at spawnographypod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, see you later, Hellspawn.